I mean, what even are beans, right? No one knows where beans come from. And that's where my theory comes in. Beans are aliens. Beans don't belong on this planet. They've done nothing but harm to literally everyone. Like, for example, this is the kind of thing that a bean will do to your brain. I'm going to do a physical demonstration, alright? If you know anything about the press, it's that they like tricking people a lot. When we told the press about what was going on, they didn't say anything. They lied. In fact, they told us that beans were perfectly safe. They laughed in our faces. It was infuriating, really. There was nothing we could do about it. When was the last time you saw a bean in Mother Nature? You didn't, because you don't go outside. Run. Fast. Yeah, so I was minding my own business one day, and it was beautiful. It was a beautiful day outside. The birds were singing, the flowers were blooming. It was a pretty perfect day. So naturally, I go into the kitchen and reach into my tray of brownies, which I had just baked up. Except, when I did so, I discovered a terrible, terrible truth. Inside was beans. I was petrified, completely terrified by the severity of my situation. Never before had I thought that beans could occupy the space that once had brownies in them. How did the beans do this? How did they do this? I was standing there, I could barely move. I tried calling the police or like 911 or something. My right hand, which is my dominant hand, was in the beans. That wasn't good. That was not good at all. Because I didn't want to drop my phone using my non-dominant hand trying to dial 911. But then I remembered, I don't have a phone. And that was almost it. I thought I was done for. It was crazy. And then I woke up. My first experience with beans was on the SS Legume. I served in the Navy, right? We were on a pretty long patrol mission, just out there on the sea. Totally something that happens, definitely. And we were running pretty low on rations. Like, we were out of rations. We had no food left. Everyone was starving, on top of how sleepy everyone was, naturally. But you know what was floating in the ocean? It was cans of beans. That's right. Cans of beans all over the place. It was something I'd never seen before. They were rocking the boat. They were floating in the ocean. They were rocking the boat. It was really dangerous. We had no other choice but to fish them out and eat as many as we could. The only problem with that was the flying beans. You know what those are? They're cans of beans that fly in the sky. They saw what they was doing to their seaborn brothers, and they attacked us. It was insane. They were dive bombing us from left and right. We had to take shelter. I barely managed to escape with my own life. It was another dream. The funny thing about the beans is that you're never gonna know where they're hiding. They're always in your house somewhere. You can't get rid of them. They're like field mice. And it's super, super dangerous because they could jump you at any moment, especially if they're in a baked good. If you just made a thing of brownies, oh, look out. Beans are in a lot of different things too. You wouldn't expect some of the things that beans are in. You know, they're in easy bakes. Did you know that? Beans are in easy bakes. They're in muffins. No, they aren't in muffins. I made that part up. But still, it's crazy. Yeah, man, beans are pretty crazy. Once they get inside your house, they basically run around like 4 raccoons with internet access. They're unstoppable. I tried making a deal with a bean once. He said no. You know, I'm a pacifist, but beans are on a whole new level of dangerous. I'd probably punch a can of beans if I could. You know, if their iron thick armor, it's not made of tin anymore, but it was, and it was so dangerous. I hate beans. Beans were a joke on the internet for the longest time, and it was propaganda. It was made specifically so that everyone would normalize beans. They even made people think that beans were funny. Beans aren't funny, they're vicious. They sneak into your brownies, and then they just sit there waiting for you to eat them. No one likes beans, and no one certainly likes beans when you eat them on accident. There was this scientist who tried several different methods to try and eliminate beans. He tried something called the bean shocker. Could you guess what the bean shocker does? So the idea is it's like this metallic device with a long metal rod at the bottom of it, it's kind of disguised as a thermometer. It's very clever. But what he did was he took the device, put the stick in a tray of brownies, for example, and the machine would test the beans, and it would tell you whether or not they were beans or if it was a baked good. And this worked for a very long time until the beans caught on. They were very smart. You see, what the beans did was they conducted electricity from the device, likely on purpose. And what they did was they ended up killing the man. No one ever touched the idea ever again.